Hey Will, good to see you. How are you?
Hey, good to see you too, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you for joining in us. So we're going to discuss today about a ARINC 848. But before we're going to do that, so just a disclaimer, we know each other for a while now,
Yes, we
but
have.
but for just for the sake of our audience, can you please introduce yourself, and then I'll do the same.
Yes, Captain Will Ware. I'm a captain at Southwest Airlines here in the U.S. I started our EFB program. My job is kind of out in front. What are we going to do with the EFB program as we go forward? Also in 2011, I got involved with the AEEC IATA EFB Users Forum. And for the past 13 years, I've been the North American co-chair for that. And in that, we do a lot of industry work around FAA and other regulatory processes and policies and trying to help other airlines. But a subset of that is our EFB subcommittee where we write standards for EFB. And that's kind of where the 840 came from. And that is some of my passion about trying to make the EFB better.
So we share the same passion, I guess. As you probably know, I'm running a SkyPath, our ride quality mitigation service. From the same perspective, we're trying to create better surrounding for pilots, dispatchers, the entire industry. And there's a lot of things that we have done in SkyPath that got inspiration from the EFB Users Forum. It's a great platform to learn about industry needs and requirements. And I think one of the reasons that we met today is that I think that you were the leader of chasing this capability, the ARINC 848, and we learned about this capability first in the, I don't know if it was the previous one or the one before that, EFB Users Forum essentially, and this is what we are going to discuss today for the sake of our audience. So, if you can give me some background on where does it came from, what's the requirement, what's the benefit, or the main problem it solves, and why it's so important for the pilot community, this capability.
Yeah, and so that probably goes back a little bit. Maybe I can back up another step further back to kind of explain what a standard is. So ARINC creates standards to make things interoperable. So like if we think about an instrument that goes into a panel of an aircraft, ARINC made a standard that, the hole should be this big and the screws should go here so that you can pick an instrument from various vendors and put it in that hole, right? So that's kind of where a standard comes from. So from an EFB perspective, we have a number of different EFB standards, but this one, 840A, is supposed to make easy to transfer data from one EFB application to another EFB application. And so in our EFB space, like SkyPath, are a leader in turbulence. But we have other vendors that have charts and other vendors that have weather and other vendors that do different things. But each of these applications are separate applications. So from a pilot's perspective, when we get into the flight deck, back in 2011, we really just had one application, pretty much. It was charting and one other application, which was manuals. But now we've expanded that. And most every airline has up to 8 or more applications. And what you do is you're having to repeatedly add the same information into various applications. So 840A is supposed to be a way that once we have, so let's say we have a flight plan and one application that already has your flight number, your route of flight, cities, destination departure, that we could transport that information through various applications. And that's kind of the basis of 840, is to make it easier on the pilot's workflow.
So if I get it right, just in an example, if we look at SkyPass, for example, SkyPass essentially usually is puts in the back because you open the application and it's designed to give you push notifications on top of other apps. So for that matter, the day-to-day challenge that you experience is that either way you need to open SkyPass, initiate the process, add the flight plan, and then put it in the back end and put another EFB on top of it. Right. And
Correct.
if I understand correctly, with the 840A, you won't need to do it. So
correct. So, for an international flight where you're only doing one leg, it's probably not as big of an issue. But for an airline like myself or other airlines that do repetitive flights per day, you can imagine trying to manually load a flight plan, a flight number, a route of flight, a departure, a destination into 8 different apps is kind of ridiculous. So,
and then multiply it by a few legs.
Correct. By multiple legs a day, that gets to be a lot of work. And so it's not just the decrease in workload. It's improving that we don't make an error, right? Like adding a route. But this capability could be expanded. And we're at a starting point, and your company is, the first one to adopt that. So we're looking forward to getting that rolling, and then having the ability to expand that in the future.
So it needs to be implemented in each and every application, right? In order for it to be operable for all.
Correct. And so in the standard, you will find things like a parameter for an airport is written in a specific way. And then that way, if every vendor writes that in the specific way, then you can write code that talks to that back and forth. I think everyone is doing their own thing at the moment because it's their own application, and it makes total sense. But when we start trying to bring the ecosystem together of various vendors that don't necessarily have a business relationship between themselves, that's where the value comes in.
I understand. So this ought to be the benefit of what we're the capability that we're trying to bring here. As a strategy, we try to focus in the pain points, or we're trying to bring capabilities that will meet the pain points of pilots of the industry, of whoever sits in the flight deck and whoever sits in the cabin. Today, with this recent upgrade, it's easy to open all the application and all the favorites things that you want to use, and the flight plan can be simultaneously intercepted through different apps. What's next for the industry in your eyes? So how do you see this capability on the long run? What do you see the roadmap of this industry towards using this capability for the long run?
It's tough to say because the EFB is a sweet spot in that we can innovate in an aircraft. Typically, when you think about an aircraft and changing an aircraft, it's a certification issue. And so that is a decade-long or longer thing. The EFB has a special place in the regulations where we can do some really interesting innovations. And I think we've seen that over the last decade of building out the electronic flight bag. I think this is a good starting point. We don't really know where we're going yet, right? So that we're almost peeling back a little bit of an onion. And once we have a number of these vendors that conform to the ARINC standard, then we may go back and rewrite the standard and open up additional capabilities. But we really don't know what we don't know yet.
But we're learning as we go.
That's a true statement.
So any other things you want to message our audience? Any other things you would like to share with us today?
I would make a plea for the EFB Users Forum that there are a lot of EFB different showcases that you can go to, but this is one place where we really do make changes in policy. We're working right now with ICAO to remove a decompression requirement for hardware. We really do get involved, and we really are passionate about all of our people coming and sharing. And so just like this is a great place where we knew where we needed to go, but we needed a vendor to step up, and I appreciate you doing that. Now we need another vendor to do that as well so that we can make this work. And you know what? We may find that there's an imperfection in the standard, but that's okay. We'll go back and rewrite it and then move forward. But this is the starting point in where we start bringing various vendors together. And I think it's going to make the EFB just so much greater.
Amazing. Will, before we conclude and before I'll ask you to continue doing this great work that you're doing, and before I'll mention that you're doing that today to reach out to other vendors to collaborate with this standard so we can share our information with other vendors of the EFB market, I would like to show you a short demonstration that we have made just to try and demonstrate this capability. This capability is not so complicated, but let's try and do it together.
Okay.
So what we see here is a generic EFB app, basically called SkyPath. And then when you look at SkyPath, although it's a bit blurry, you can see that SkyPath has already embedded flight plan within and also flight points within. That's the idea. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. Quite of a simple feature to integrate within your native app.
Right. And so while that may seem simplistic to those, watching, it is quite complicated. To have all of the parameters properly written so that it can pass that information over to another application. But that's exactly what we're trying to get to. And in a perfect world, your electronic flight folder application that you had would have multiple apps, and you could just tap the buttons and it would do the same thing, pass that over. But I would say one thing, that the EFB Users Forum EFB Subcommittee is free to join if anyone out there wants to get involved and help make that standard better. You can contact me and we'll get you in touch with the right people. They do 4 meetings a year, 2 virtually and 2 in person. And we work on all of the ARINC standards for EFB. But this is the one that's nearest and dearest. And I appreciate you stepping up, and we look forward to seeing where it goes.
Well, I look forward to seeing you in the next EFB Users Forum. And
in Montreal.
Also in Montreal. And I also want to mention that, every trail starts with a small step. This is a small step, and we'll progress as we'll, keep on going. This is the way to do things. So I would like to thank you very much for joining us, and see you soon.
Yes, thank you, Maya. Have a great day.